President Vladimir Putin is isolating, so he voted on his own, online, presumably for the ruling Russia United Party. Behind the scenes, though, of this parliamentary election, an almighty fault line has opened up between big tech and democracy Russia style, where some voices count more than others. Supporters of imprisoned opposition leader Alexei Navalny have been creating all sorts of problems for the Kremlin lately. The biggest problem, though, was this: a tactical voting app called Smart Voting. A former member of his tech team told us how it works.
You can put your own home address in it to see which area you belong to, and you will be provided with the suggestions from the team of Alexei Navalny, who you better to vote for in order to get rid of United Russia candidate in your area.
The app was available on Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store. The Kremlin has classified Navalny and his supporters as extremists. So, the Russian media regulator started warning both tech companies that they could fall foul of Russian law if they didn't remove the app. Last night, Apple and Google gave in. The app was removed, cannot now be downloaded in Russia. This didn't come out of the blue, in other words. It's been ramping up for some time. But on Monday, the straw that broke the camel's back, a team from the Russian security services rocked up at Google's offices in Moscow and threatened to prosecute individual members of staff. The message was clear: take the app down or we'll throw your people in prison. The message from the Kremlin today, not quite as stark as that, but delighted that Apple and Google had seen things their way.
Это приложение, оно вне закона. Оно вне закона на территории нашей страны. Обе платформы получили соответствующее уведомление. И в соответствии с буквой и духом закона они приняли такое решение, по всей видимости. Но это нужно спрашивать у самих служб.
Here's the thing, though. As Russians cast their votes over the coming days, the app is still available by using virtual private networks, VPNs. Also, Navalny's team have released a YouTube film listing tactical candidates by area. So as far as Navalny's people are concerned, the whole episode has exposed the Kremlin's inability to arrest a network.
Such sort of a game like cats and mice, there's nothing they can do about it because they cannot stop information from spreading. Okay, they can ban the app, they can ban the website, but okay, there is a YouTube, you can post the videos with a list of candidates, recommended candidates there.
Typically, less than half the electorate turn out for Russian parliamentary elections. According to some, the true danger of this app for the Kremlin is that it could make this election exciting.
The Kremlin is actually trying to give people a sense that their vote counts for nothing by giving people a sense that, look, don't bother with this election. It's just a farce. Nothing depends on you. It's to cultivate this learned helplessness, which is what the Kremlin has been thriving on for the past 10, 15 years.
Ahead of another possible presidential run in 2024, Putin needs the security of a subservient parliament. The week started for him with these military drills. It ended with elections. Both war games, but designed to display real strength.
Warwick O'Brien. Well, earlier I spoke to Anne Applebaum. She's a staff writer at The Atlantic and author of Twilight of Democracy. And I began by asking how the United Russia Party manages to get strong, conclusive results despite having only 27% popularity in the opinion polls.
What you have to understand about Russian elections is that they aren't elections in the way that we know them. These are manipulated public events designed to display the legitimacy of the regime. An app created by the real opposition that was designed to give people a guide to voting, to help them vote for candidates who are truly opposition candidates, has been removed from app stores. So people can't even access that information. So this is really more of a display of the regime's power and of its ability to lie and take control, rather than a real exercise in democracy.
And yet the same poll that gave the United Russia Party 27% also gave Vladimir Putin, the president, about 56%. So he still seems to be surprisingly popular despite all the things going on in the country.
I mean, it's hard to know what to make of these polls. Remember, these are polls conducted in a country where people are afraid to say what they think. I'm surprised, by the way, that the United Russia Party's polling numbers are so low. I mean, imagine that you're a taxi driver in Krasnoyarsk. Somebody calls you up and says, "Hello, I'm a polling company calling from Moscow. Who are you going to vote for?" What are you going to say? You're going to say Putin if you're afraid that someone is listening to your phone, or they have your name, or they have your telephone number.
Now, the film that we just showed obviously focused quite heavily on those voting apps. It's pretty outrageous, is it not, that the tech giants have taken them down, fulfilling Russia's request to do so?
Yeah, unfortunately, American tech companies have not, for the most part, been particularly brave in autocratic countries. And this is a particularly bad moment because those apps are one of the few ways in which the opposition is able to communicate with ordinary people, since they don't have access to media, they don't have access to mass media. And so the companies refusing to even allow them to appear on people's phone is truly shocking. I mean, I think that the reckoning that American internet platforms are going to have to do, with their status towards the rest of the world is still coming, as pushing back against them is going to get, the pushback against them is going to get stronger and stronger.
Because you kind of wonder what they have to lose by not doing it. I mean, they've got a much bigger audience around the world, and especially in the United States. Why would they comply with the Russian government?
But I mean, you'd have to put that question to them rather than to me. I think these are not brave companies. They're not used to the idea that they are somehow existing on the cutting edge of democracy and dictatorship, which they are in many countries. They aren't run by people who have political minds or who think along these lines. They're run by people who are experts in technology and computer science.
Again, looking at Russian society, corruption is rife, the infrastructure is crumbling, there's a massive discrepancy in incomes, and yet none of this seems to be translating into the political landscape. Is the weapon here against the regime apathy, people just not bothering to turn up and vote?
Well, the regime seeks to encourage apathy and to encourage nihilism. Putin doesn't sell his system as the world's best or as leading to utopia or anything like that. What he does is provide Russians with constant undermining of democracy, a constant narrative about the failure of the West, the failure of alternatives. Okay, we're corrupt, but they're corrupt too. Look how corrupt Western leaders are. And that gives people this sense that there's no point in being in opposition politics. There's no point in doing anything. There's no point in civic activism. Everything will end badly. So it's kind of cultivated nihilism that underlines the entire Russian political process.
Anne Applebaum, thank you very much.